Welcome back to the Ladies of Lorcana podcast. Today, I am so excited to welcome our guest, Bonnie Geraci from Bonnie B Design. Bonnie is a Florida based Lorcana card alterist and competitive player. Bonnie's altered card art has been highly sought after in the community and has been used as prizing in several tournaments. Well, welcome, Bonnie. I'm so happy to have you on the show today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Well, first off, I want to know, where did your Lorcana journey begin? How did you start getting involved in this game?
My husband actually started playing Magic a couple years ago and kind of was nudging it at me, being like, "Hey, like, want to learn how to play this fun game?" And I'm like, I just really had absolutely no interest in it. I've never played a trading card game, like ever. So I was just like, it seemed a little too complicated for me. So during last year's season, when Lorcana was first coming out and we had a hurricane down here, we had a little hurricane party with our friends. And so they came over and they're like, "Hey, we're bringing a card game that it's Disney themed and you're going to love it." And I was like, "Okay, sure." So we sat down and I was learning how to do it. I'm like, that was kind of fun. And so again, my husband came to me afterwards and was like, "Oh, so you like the Disney game, yeah? Like you want to start maybe playing that?" And so like hook line sinker, we got into playing it. I didn't start like really understanding things until I think at the end of set 2, beginning of set 3, that he actually started introducing me to like the competitive aspect of it all. And then it just kind of grew from there, meeting new people, new friends.
So, does your husband still play Magic or does he now play Lorcana with you?
He actually switched over to playing Lorcana,
Yes.
but he has one of those personality types that he goes like wholehearted into everything whenever he does it. So he kind of had to put that to the side, and he's like, I like doing this. We love doing hobbies together. So whenever we find something like this and it just sticks, it's so much fun that we get to spend our personal time together like that and also like our free fun time even with friends kind of sharing the same hobby and being able to talk about it and everything. But he also likes to do a bunch of different competitive computer games and stuff too, which I don't know if I'll ever get into that too. I wasn't really introduced to it as a kid. I was more of a hands-on arts and crafts, go play outside on our swing set type kid. But he's introduced me to a lot of different things. Maybe one day it'll start too.
I can relate to that. I definitely enjoyed games as kid, but more board
Yeah.
games, not necessarily
Board
the
games, right.
computer side of things. So,
Yeah.
well, that's really fun that you got to start with a group of friends, like, during a hurricane. Let's just
Hurricane parties, they're real.
hurricane parties. Do you still play with that group of friends?
Here and there, yeah. It's kind of grown into a bigger group of people, but yeah.
Nice. What's one of your favorite memories from being involved in the Lorcana community thus far?
I was trying to think of just like one pivotal moment, and I'd probably say at the last DLC that I was a part of, it was out in Vegas. That just getting to the level that I got, I never thought I would be good at playing this. That I'm just like, yeah, I'll play for fun, like I just like to be included in things, and it piqued my interest because it was Disney. I grew up on Disney movies and everything, but actually learning the game and being able to play it and understand the different aspects of it and get to the level of, being able to get, what was it, the tickets in order to get a Cinderella mat. So I got
Oh,
the shiny the Cindy mat
very
that
nice.
was very sought after, but I wasn't able to do it without the help of people in our community that we've call friends now, that they help pitch in and everything. I'm no like 2 day, like second day, competitive player, but I was able to get enough tickets to support most of it, and even like day 2 and everything with the little side events, just trying different things and again meeting new people, and then having the community that we have surrounded ourselves with kind of help support and work towards that goal of me getting the Cinderella mat. I was kind of like, yay.
That's awesome. And that is a big accomplishment to earn that
Yeah.
many tickets. I've done a few DLCs myself and that takes
It's a lot.
effort.
It's a lot, yeah.
Well, I'm really excited to chat with you today because of one of the unique aspects of what you do in the Lorcana community.
Yay.
And we are both members of this kind of smaller niche community within Lorcana of card altruists. So, for those of you who are listening or watching who are not familiar with this aspect of TCG, card altering is a process of painting on a TCG card to alter the art. So, sometimes that means extending borders or even creating completely new art on top of a physical card. So, Bonnie, how did you get into altered card art?
So long story or short story?
Either. We're here for it.
Okay, well, we'll aim for somewhere in the middle. Again, growing up, I always did arts and crafts, but recently I've been painting on canvases, and so I just pick up a brush, and when something sparks my creative bone, I just want to paint. I see an empty canvas and I'm like, that needs some color on it. I have a dog and I'm like, I had to paint her, of course. And so I have a painting corner with an easel and I have some empty canvases sitting there. And so, you know how life gets that things get in the way and your hobbies kind of have to get pushed to the side sometimes. Well, when we had first started playing Lorcana, that again, I was really busy with things and there was a computer that used to be here. My husband had his computer here and my easel is over there. And one day he was sitting there and I walked through that door right there and I looked over in the corner and I looked at him. I'm like, I really miss painting. And he's like, you can paint cards. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, the cards that we play with, the Lorcana cards, you can paint them. And I was like, huh? And he's like, yeah, they did it in Magic. Like, look up Magic altered cards. And I was like, what? And so I like dove into it and I was looking, I was like, wow, this is like really intricate. Like this is interesting. And so I mean, it took a lot of learning, a lot of patience, a lot of time to go from like a canvas this big to a canvas that's like this big.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been a journey with that. I've reached out to some other card altruists just to see their process and some of the different events that they actually had booths set up and they would be doing live paintings of magic cards like magic altruists. And so I actually sat there and talked with one of the guys at one of the events that I was there supporting a friend for playing in a tournament, but I was just sitting there rooting her on and I was, enjoying the little side things as well. So I sat there and talked with him for a little bit, just getting to know, his journey and what type of paints he used and what he seems to like and dislike and everything. I was surprised with the support that was coming from another artist, coming from a different background of like dancing through my life that everybody's like, if you're not as good as me, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Like,
Mm.
it was kind of like, you know, I'll keep this to myself where like these artists would just kind of give you the tools to learn. And so I, it was something that was interesting to me and kind of put the two hobbies together. I mean, this whole thing has grown to be bigger than I ever imagined. When I picked up that first card and painted it one day and showed my husband that later that night, and I was like, so something kind of like this? And he was like, yeah, exactly like that. And just like started hyping me up. And I'm like, okay, like maybe this could be a thing. And he's like, yeah, you should try another one tomorrow. I'm like, okay. So he's kind of been the start of everything for this.
That's
He's
awesome. He
been a
sounds like,
huge
yeah.
supporter and he's actually kind of like my assistant manager that he gets a hold of people. If you don't know, I am very introverted. So being all new to this and people reaching out to me, I'm like, I don't know, what should I say to them? And he's like, don't worry, I'll worry about the logistics and you just have fun painting. I will let you know. And so he started me off like that and I've learned to like, be able to reach out and talk and everything and become more comfortable just with how people are reacting to it and everything.
That's
So,
wonderful that
yeah.
he's been that support and kind of cheerleader for you during
Yeah.
this journey. And oh my gosh, I can completely relate of, I have a studio art background that was one of my majors in college. And, so I've I've painted on much larger scales, and all my brushes are big brushes. So when
Go
I
down to like the tiny little nail detail art brushes.
exactly, I'm like a 018. What is this? There's like two hairs on this brush.
Yeah.
I had no idea that the, card altered art world existed either until I kind of stumbled across it. And then it was just like,
Yeah.
there's this whole world that I can get into. you know, Walk me through your process when you start painting a new card altar. Like, how do you choose a card? Do you create a design in advance, or do you just, free for all and see what comes up? What's your process look like?
Yeah. So again, when I first started and I picked up that paintbrush and picked a card, I think the first card that I did was the Winnie the Pooh Honey Wizard.
Oh, it's such a beautiful card.
It's so gorgeous and there's so many colors, and I have a very big like knack for like nature art, so like the trees and the leaves and everything, and so there is just so much color going on that just kind of looking at the card kind of inspired me to start painting on it. So again, with my learning curve, I just picked up the card and started painting on it with whatever paint I had. But since then, I've learned that, definitely looking at the card and seeing its potential, sometimes that I'm given a commission and they want a specific card done. In that case, I'm not going to take a card and just start painting on it. So I have to come up with kind of a concept idea. So I have a little tablet. I download the card itself on Procreate and I just start like doodling on it because it's easy to erase on that and not on a precious card.
Right.
Especially if it's like,
Here, I can just click undo.
right. I'm like, you can't really do that with paint. Be like, undo. It doesn't work like that. So yeah, definitely coming up with that. And two, if somebody has like a specific request, I know one of the first commissions I did was actually for DKP. If I don't know if
Hmm.
everybody's heard of him, but he wanted specific the hyenas for the Be Prepareds. There was the three different hyenas that he wanted on each specific card. And so I had kind of like doodled it up for him, gave him the concept idea, and we kind of like bounced off each other, making sure like he wanted like the perspective to be proportionate and everything. And so if there's like specifics like that, I make sure that I do a SketchUp and send it to whoever I'm working for the commission with, that I want to make it look how they're envisioning it if they have a specific. But most of the time, people just give me the card. They say, hey, I want this card done. And they say, I want your creative juices flowing. Like, I'm going to trust whatever you do and go. And
Nice.
so
So you get
sometimes
free range for some
it's
of those.
yeah, it's been difficult like to think of some things, but really actually I watch the movies of whatever card I'm doing and it kind of brings some inspiration. There was the Great Stone Dragon that I'm like,
Mm.
the Great Stone Dragon, it would look so cool with the extra swirls and everything, but I'm like it just needs I'm like I wanted a Mushu card before the Mushu card came out. I'm like, that little guy needs to be in there somewhere, but I don't want to take away from what the card is, because the person I did it for, like, he's known for that card, like, always playing that card. So I wanted to make sure that the essence of that card still held strong and was the main focus of that card, but I just wanted to add that extra little element of like from the Disney movie, just again being a Disney fan. So it's just a little serene Mushu in the corner holding his little gong, you know. And so it's just little things like that
Fun.
that
I love that you
I like to add.
Yeah, that you take inspiration
Yeah.
from the Disney IP movies and bring that
Yeah.
in, and like that's great. In terms of more of the technical side of things, what does that process look like? Because you said that you had your art corner with an easel, and I'm
Yes.
imagining that that may not be the
Yeah, you can't
the
really put a card on an easel. I actually tried it. They do have the
the
small,
little
it's like
mini
at the
ones.
Dollar Tree, the mini ones. I tried starting on it and it just like moves and moves further
You're
and further and further away. So I actually have a little setup. I'm on a wide desk. I actually have my computer set up here and my art set up like right next to it here. So I have from my husband's mini painting days. We started doing mini painting, so we have kind of a setup from that it holds all the little jars of paint and my little wet palette, and I just use a silicone mat and to protect the card just because I need something kind of more stable to hold on to it. I actually protect the sides by taping the corners down so it's actually flat on the mat. And from one of the cards that I did, it was the most challenging and difficult ones to match colors that I felt like my eyes were going cross-eyed. And so I
Mm,
looked into it and they have magnifying glasses. And I'm like, I need one of those for mini painting. And I'm like, that would work so good. So I'm not like sitting there like in the middle of the night trying to paint like this. That so I have a little arm that like swings around and it has a bright light that sits over it to kind of focus on it. So everything's just right here. The only thing that I'm not really still used to is how fast my paint dries, even though I am using a wet palette. But I do think it is because partially I live in Florida and it does get hot, and we have an AC and we have a fan blowing in every single room, so it's probably that. But that's one of the biggest
yes.
difficulties with having this little
Such
setup here. But
such a challenge. I can relate being in Arizona, also a very hot and
yeah,
dry climate. So it's like paint dries so quickly, but again, having been used to painting on larger surfaces, there's more paint, so it doesn't seem to
right.
dry so quickly. So you mix this tiny, tiny little bit, and then all of a sudden it's dry.
It's like, let's try.
No. So, on average, I'm just curious, how long does it take you to complete a single card? Going from this initial process of perhaps coming up with some designs, if it's a commission going back and forth, to an actual finished product.
So it really depends upon, how much of the detail is going into it and also like how if there are tiny little details and it's a back and forth, it could be like multiple days. But painting the card itself, I mean it really varies. It really varies anywhere. I mean, I've painted it anywhere from like for 5 hours to like 12 hours. But again, it's the color matching. It's trying to keep that paint at the perfect like viscous state, and you got to keep it just perfect so you're not altering like the weight of the card and the feel of the card. So when people actually want to play these and put them in the deck, that they're actually going to be tournament legal. So you have to make sure it's going to fit and feel the same so you're not caking it on, which I learned from day one using the wrong paints and having it thick and thick and thick, and the card just peels and peels and peels, and you got this weird funky wavy card and you're like, well, this looks like a chip. I don't know, like I obviously can't flatten it out and put it in a sleeve, but it's pretty. So
Yeah. Well, for viewers and listeners who are interested in getting into altered card art, whether just as trying it out for fun as a hobby or maybe looking into getting into it as, something that they would want to sell, what do you wish you had known at the beginning of your journey?
have more patience. I have a lot and it still tests my patience. And giving yourself grace that if if you mess up, you don't actually mess up. Like I'm a big fan of Bob Ross. I'm actually wearing his socks right now. But I did like fun little paintings before just with friends and everything, but they're happy little accidents. If something doesn't work out, just figure out a new way to make it work, or fail, then try again and just keep trying. And I would say definitely do it on, the cheaper like cent cards and everything, and or even on the like additional back cards, just sample around with it, play with it before you get started, and definitely giving yourself grace and asking questions. There's a community out there that want other people to succeed. Like just like me, if you guys have any questions, please don't feel like hesitant to ask me if I don't get back with you straight away, or if you guys see me out in the community, like don't hesitate coming up to me and just chatting with me about different paints that I use and everything.
I love how open you are, and that's not, again, like you said, your experience with the altruist that you met from Magic, that it's not a gatekeeping,
Right, yeah.
you know, industry. It's just like, hey, come on, join the fun.
Yeah.
This is exciting. You can use the paints that you've got to start off, and if you want to get more into it, here's some other ideas of how to elevate that and take it to the
Mhm.
next level.
Because even with different card altruists, everyone's gonna have a different style. So if like there's enough for everybody to go around. That there's a famous one over in, I believe, France, and her altars are absolutely gorgeous. She started with magic and she got into Lorcana, and just seeing her progression over the years, I'm just like, I want to be able to paint like that, but that's her style, you know. There's just different things. Or if I see someone do a card altar and I see it done and I appreciate their artwork, but sometimes the idea sparks in my head like, ooh, maybe putting like something like this in the corner or doing this instead might look kind of cool. And then I pick up the card and I paint it and I'm like, yeah, that did kind of look cool. Or sometimes I try something, I'm like, that didn't work out, but that's okay. I'll just put it in mine and, have fun playing it.
I love that, getting card inspiration from
Yeah.
other altruists. Are you connected with other card altruists in any ways, like through I don't know, like a social media community, or do you just like follow others?
Right now, I just follow others. There was some that I started off with when I was first getting into it that I had reached out. I just started researching magic altruist and was, just reaching out being like, "Hey, I was thinking about getting into painting on cards and what kind of thing do you use?" I'm like, "If people have questions, please feel free to ask me."
Awesome. Well, what has been one of your favorite altered cards that you have created?
It's hard to pick one, but I would say the one that gave me the most challenge was the Mufasa that I have done. Getting the sand color actually pop and come through gave me so much difficulty and so much drive to like, I'm like, I have to get this done. I have to do this right. And it can't be thick. And, just trying to figure that out. So that piece kind of has a special place in my heart. But also, what was it? I believe the Hades that I did with the smoke coming
Mm.
down off the cauldron. That one and the Maleficent dragon, where I had the fire coming out. And I don't know if you guys can see like the claw gripping. Um, on the bridge that I did, that just tiny little details like that, I'm just like, "Ooh, look at it." I did that with a tiny little paintbrush. So, it's kind of fun, like, challenging yourself to do something that tiny. I mean, there was one of the first ones I had commissioned too was the beast, and I actually broke the text box and had the planks of wood that he was standing on kind of come through it. And I'm like, I want the look of this wood to be wood. Like, I want it to look like wood. And so we have like a laminate wood flooring back here. So I kept like looking down and I'm like, I have got to get this right. So I have like this OCD need to make this thing look like wood. And when I delivered, I was able to hand deliver that card to the recipient, RMB. And when I handed him that card, I was peeking over his shoulder and I'm like, but do you see the wood grain? Like, do you see the wood grain? I did that with a paintbrush.
See how realistic the wood
Yeah.
is. It's funny, those details that I think, we as artists will pick up on or hone in on ourselves on our own work that, maybe isn't part of the full picture that people necessarily see as first thing. But it's like, oh, look, this
Right.
tiny little thing took me so long to do.
Gosh, and the tiny Sebastian on Ariel. Um,
Mm.
I did the Ariel singer, and there's a little Sebastian sitting right on top of the A of Ariel, and he's in his little conductor, holding his little conductor, and he's like, that was definitely a challenge. I think I had two magnifying glasses on top of each other to get like that tiny little fine detail, but when I got it, I was just like, do you see that? Do you see how tiny that is? And I actually had taken a photo of it and sent it to one of my friends. And I'm like, look, I finally did. I did the little Sebastian in the corner. And she was like, wow, that's incredible. And I'm like, yeah, do you see the size of the A that's right under it? And she's like, are you kidding me? Because it was actually a collaborative thing that we kind of came up with on our way to the Las Vegas DLC, I believe, that we flew out together. And I brought my little tablet and was coming up with a little concept design for that. And it was fun to have her right next to me. And she started getting excited. She's like, what if you added like something like this here? Or what if you added this? And what if you added that? Having that collaborative, drive to add the fun little pops of art
Yeah.
to the card. It's kind of fun when it all happens. It's like, look what we did.
I can relate right now. I've been working on a version of Lilo Escape Artist, and I always refer
Yes.
to her when I play her as Zombie Lilo because she's
Yeah.
coming back.
And she comes
She's like
back.
resurrected.
And
She
she's
comes
back.
back. So it's
And
like,
back
all right,
again.
I have to paint her now as a
Yeah.
zombie, and I zombified her. I don't know if
My
that's a word.
goodness.
But then the water, I was like, what do I do in the water? I feel like I need to go with this theme. And so I had posted on my Instagram for inspiration. I was like, what do you guys think? Like, should I put like limbs in there? Gantu brains? Is that too creepy? And
It's like
I got
goo
so many
ooze.
responses for Pudge, the fish, of like, bring in Pudge, make Pudge a zombie, make Pudge an anglerfish. And so I was like, I love that
My
idea.
goodness,
So
yes.
that was, it's fun to like see also the collaborative effort, when it's almost like a challenge. Like I imagine that
Hmm.
Sebastian, you're like, oh, like let
But then
me
I did it.
and then I did it. I got the teeny tiny Sebastian
Yes.
in there. That's fun. So you said you're a Disney fan. What
Hmm.
Disney characters or IP do you hope to see show up in the Lorcana world from an art perspective?
So I feel like I'm happy with what's already out. Like I love Rapunzel, I love Elsa. I'm like they have two really good cards. So I'm
Mm.
like I'm really good with that. And Pascal, I have a backpack with little Pascal on it, and I'm like he's my little spirit animal. Like sometimes you're just like not in the mood, and you're just like like I have a shirt that has little Pascal on it, and I'm like I get my cute little cards here and there.
Oh my gosh, the more I learn about you, the more I'm like, are we like somehow related? Pascal is like my
Yes.
guy.
Um, my husband, he's looking forward to more like Treasure Planet, Atlantis type things. I don't think we've seen Oliver and Company or Dumbo. I mean, I'm just in love with the cards that are all out. Anything that comes out, I appreciate artwork so much, and just to see different types of artwork.
What current cards are on your wish to paint list?
I don't think I have just one. I mean, I would love to paint all of them.
Every card.
I would like to paint all of them. I know it was funny. Someone asked me that before, and I'm like, Golden Mickey. And it's like, I would never do that. But I don't know. Like, all of the cards kind of excite me in somehow. And when people give me a challenge, I know I'm still waiting to figure out a really good altar for, what was it? The mirror room.
Okay, yeah.
That one. And I got that request early on, and I'm like, I just don't know what to do with that card without completely redoing the entire art. And that's something, if it's not requested to cover the original art, I try to keep as much as the original art as possible because I do enjoy other people's artwork and I don't want to cover that up. That one's stumping me for the longest time and I haven't circled back to it. So maybe that one should be kind of coming up on my on my list to figure out
Something to
how
kind
to
of
do
like
again.
chew on mentally and be like, oh, where do I go with
Yeah.
that?
But even when I do cards that like the Maui that I had just done, I had done a Maui before and I got another request to do another Maui and I'm like, well, I don't mind doing the same thing, but sometimes I just kind of want to add a little something extra. So just recently with doing that one, adding the Hand of Tekka at the end battle scene when Maui kind of comes up with his hook and slices it off, and they're in the middle of this battle. To add that kind of element in and just add something a little different. I believe I've done the Be Prepared about like 3 or 4 different times, and each time I've kind of done a little something different. So I'm trying to keep things kind of more on the side of one of a kind type thing whenever I do it, or giving myself that challenge to add just like something different. So when I see a card, I'm like, I could repaint that card and it can look completely different,
Mm.
and try to add it.
I think that makes it fun, as
Hmm.
well for someone who might want the card to be like, this is a one of a kind. It's
Yeah,
not everyone can go out and get this card. Like mine's a little bit different. Even if someone else has a Bonnie B altered Be Prepared, it's not the
yeah.
exact same.
Like, I want something like that. Sometimes people want the same exact card, and I do not mind doing that for you too. I think one of the ones early on, the Tamatoa, where I started adding the items, and not a lot of people, when I posted it, I had shown them where all the items were, that they're like, wait, you put that in his hand, and oh, I thought he had the fish hook on his back already. So that was kind of fun.
Little Easter egg surprises
Yeah.
in there. I want to shift the conversation to competitive play because you also play this game, as
Yeah.
well as painting cards. You talked a little bit earlier about, you began playing at the request of some friends during a hurricane. Also, your partner being into magic, I'm sure influenced getting into the TCGs. You've said that you've done some competitive play. What are some of your biggest competitive achievements to date? You said you've done some DLCs. Do you participate in any, store champs or local tournaments where you're at?
Yeah. So I was able to go to 3 DLCs in this last season. It was Atlanta, Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, and then the one in Vegas.
Nice.
Each one I did get a little progressively better. Not day 2 or anything, just got my Cindy mat.
That's
But
still a huge achievement.
yeah, still going to those and meeting all the people and just being in the hustle and bustle, I'm just happy to be a part of. But yeah, so recently, in the past 2 set champs, I was actually able to make top 8 in both of them. So I got my little Mirabelle with the group that I went with. We all got top 8. And then in this last one, I ended up getting top 8, and my husband actually ended up getting the championship mat. So that was
Nice.
pretty exciting, and just
Congratulations.
the
Two
group.
top
Thank you.
eights.
Yeah, I know. I'm like I'm kind of getting good at this, but I enjoy doing the competitive play of it. But I like to play to have fun, and so if I'm not having fun, I'm probably not going to be playing. So, doing the leagues and everything,
Hmm.
I just enjoy getting out in the community, meeting people, talking with friends, hanging out, whatnot. But when it comes to the competition, it was the very first store champ that I went to. There was, a certain situation, and it was my first ever like competitive card game, and it was a little terrifying to me that I'm like, is it always going to be like this?
Mm.
So the group that we had there was just this one guy. It was kind of making everybody's day not right, but um it ended up never happening again, and I've definitely grown to like love the community that we're in and how inclusive it is. I don't think there's been a single place where I'm feeling out of place now. And again, I'm not a super competitive person that I'm like testing decks every single day, being like, wait, I need to do this, wait, I need to do that. But I love having fun and learning different play styles too.
Do you have a particular play style that you like or like an ink
So
combination?
I was first introduced to Ruby Amethyst, and I loved the whole bounce package. I'm like, this is hilarious. Like, I don't know why, but the whole like, I'm gonna play a card and then I'm gonna take it back and then I'm gonna replay it and then like you can't do anything about that card and I'm just gonna gain lore without you and I'm gonna draw cards without you. It was comical, and the whole like, I don't know what to do. Oh, here's an answer. Like, wipe your board. So
I'll
just
take it
learning
all
that
away.
different playstyle. The thing that I'm still kind of terrified from, and I know it's huge right now, is Ruby Sapphire. That is very intimidating. intimidating to me, the sapphire decision making. Like I'm already an overthinker, and just thinking about what cards to keep, what cards to put down, what cards to hold on to, and it's stressful for me. So I'm like, that's something I can't do. The previous set champ that I did aggro for the first time, and I'm like, you're gonna be done. You're gonna win fast or you're gonna lose fast. And I'm like, okay, well now I get time to eat snacks. So eat snacks and hang out, just talk. So that was kind of fun too. But I'm still kind of learning. Trying different things is fun. Learning different things. Just I don't think I'm ever gonna be a Ruby Sapphire player.
You're like, I'm not feeling that one.
But wait, I'll show up and surprise everyone.
There you go. You practice Ruby Sapphire in secret. Always
Yeah,
go show up and play something else, and then talk about how much you don't like Ruby Sapphire, and
probably
then you're just
won't
gonna
play it. And
show
just
up
boom.
and yeah, shark them all. Well, one of the things that I created this podcast and interview series for is really to highlight women in the game of Lorcana. I think it's so important to highlight the roles that women take in a TCG space where often men are the dominant population. So, for you as a woman in the TCG community, whether this is as a card altruist, as a player, social, competitive, however, have you faced any unique challenges or experiences?
Like I was saying before, that first set champs, we went around to a couple different places. That first one, I was just intimidated by the amount of people that were there. It was kind of clicky and everything. So we went to another set champ at a different store, and unfortunately it's a place that we will never be going back to. There's always going to be bad apples out there where you're looked at differently and you're told like if you say something then you're overreacting. What I've come to learn with going to these DLCs, there was a confrontation and it should have been taken more seriously, and just knowing that you can have a voice and to stick up for yourself and not be afraid to ask questions. If you think something is wrong, don't be afraid to reach out to other people. And even if a judge is saying, well, this is what it is, see if there's a head judge, and just to make sure that you know what you're doing and your partner knows what you're doing if there ever is something that goes awry, just so both of you guys have a learning experience. I know I have learned from past experiences. There was another instance where I was just talking with the player and time was counting down. We just started having a conversation and I was just like, are we gonna play? And it's okay to take those moments being like, hey, we can, like, being congenial too in those moments of saying, hey, like, I don't mind talking afterwards, but let's get down to business. Let's play this game. And there are times for those moments to be able to find people in the community and make friendships and everything. But when you're actively playing in a game, and especially in the competitive aspect of things, it is okay to say something if you feel like something is wrong.
I
So
think that's
just having
really
that voice.
I think that's really important for everyone to remember that you can speak up. And as you mentioned, the judges are there to help gameplay in competitive events. They're not there just to oversee issues, but if,
Right.
if you need that support, that's their role.
Right. It's not like a teacher being like, "You did this wrong." It's like, no, they want to help you. There was an instance at the last DLC. It was the second day side events, and I did a misplay because my opponent had done a Pete and it was my turn, and we were just doing our thing, and I'm gonna do friends on the other side and do this and do that. And I stopped myself and I'm like, hold on, you just played Pete. And I'm like, we need to stop. I just misplayed. Like, how do we do this? And he looked at me, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So we had to call over a judge. So they explained everything to us, and I was in the wrong. So they're like, well, you can either take it back or we can like proceed forward. In that moment, I panicked and I'm like, don't remember what these cards were. And so I felt so bad for my partner because I wanted to take it back. It was definitely a learning experience for me. Like sometimes it's my fault, sometimes it's going to be your fault, but it's a learning experience for both of us because he also learned as well in that moment. So I feel like if I didn't speak up and call for that judge, that we would have gone on. And I like to be that honest player, and it's like I misplayed, and like I feel like this is right.
I think that's really important to be an ethical individual in the game as well and take accountability when if you recognize that,
Right, yeah.
it doesn't sound like you were intentionally trying to slide a fast one.
Right.
It was, here I'm playing, this is kind of what I had planned to play next,
Mhm.
and now I've recognized it. And I think that's such an important time, as you say, to get a judge involved. Is okay,
Mhm.
we don't know how to handle it. I don't want it to come across, so that telling on yourself, so to
I
speak,
know.
aspect.
I'm like I just did something bad.
And it's not bad, it was a mistake, and you're taking the steps then to figure out,
It's the learning
how do we move
experience, but
forward.
right.
Yeah, because I think that is part of this, is we are all learning through these experiences.
Mhm. A
Are there
fun
any
hobby.
ways that you would like to see the Lorcana community change to become more inclusive to women or marginalized communities?
Not that I've seen specifically, like I've found an amazing group of friends that support each other and bring each other up. It's incredible to find a group like that that I don't feel dumb when I have a question, or if I play something, and sometimes we do test that they're like, I don't know if I would play that. Like, here, let's see your hand, and they're willing to help out. So I mean, I've found that community.
You are in, I'm not sure exactly what area of Florida, but I know that Florida is like a highly competitive
Like the Tampa Bay area. Yeah.
area.
Yeah, there's one place we go to, and they've got a stacked group of people, and it's all good fun too because it's Wednesday nights instead of doing a traditional league game that you just play funsy games, that they actually do like mock tournaments. And so you're playing with all these different people, and they're switching out cards and everything. And I remember sitting across, it was early on, and I heard like this name being thrown around, DeCandio. I didn't know anyone, and I just kept on hearing this name, and I'm like, what? And round one, I was paired right up against him, and I'm like, so I've heard your name, sir. Like, you're really good. And I'm like, I'm not intimidated at all. Like, let's just have fun. I mean, and he was like super helpful too, because after we were playing, I was like, oh yeah, I don't know if I played that right, and he was incredibly helpful to say, oh well, this is what you had on your board, and you did this move, and he's like, you should have done this and this and this and this, and I was like, oh, well, okay. And again, it was like when I was first learning how to play. Um,
That's
that
amazing. I mean, to be able to,
playing with the different levels of people,
yeah,
and still getting that help, even from top competitors and everything. I know a lot of top competitors, day two people, and sometimes I play against them, and they're like, wow, you actually did pretty good. I'm like, really? Or sometimes they teach me something, and they're like, I would not have done that. You need to do this, 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 and this. And I'm like, okay, that's really helpful. And so just getting the support from, all different levels of people on the competitive aspect too.
yeah,
And then
that's
actually
awesome.
being able to help people that are just starting out. Like I was able to help at a local game store not that long ago, that she was getting into Lorcana and was trying to put a deck together. And I'm not the best at building decks, but just trying to give her an idea of how it all kind of rolls out. And then everybody else that was around me started like helping, being like, oh yeah, you should do this and you should do that. And how about we try this? And yeah, let's play a game and see how it feels. How'd that feel for you?
That's awesome. Well, the other thing that I like to do in these interviews is I have asked you to create yourself as a Lorcana card.
I had a little too much fun with that.
I'm going to go ahead and pull up that image now. We have Bonnie B Design, which is an amethyst card, 2 cost. That's our a 1/4. She is a Dreamborn ally and queen with the text, add a little magic. When you play this card, you may change the flavor text or theme of any character in play, turning them into a new version of themselves for the turn. They still retain their abilities, but they look different. She quests for 3. Her flavor text is sometimes all it takes is a little artistic flair to bring out someone's hidden potential. I love this for you. This fits right in that like card alter art,
Yeah.
vibes. Tell me about the card that you created.
So, stats and everything, I just put a number down. I put 1/4. 14 is a good number for me. And I'm like, yeah, 1/4 would be great. But text, the flavor text and everything, I play this game to have fun. And being able to create a card, for what I do and what it represents of already having a beautiful card to start with and just being able to put that extra little flair to it, adding more pops of colors, more sparkles and everything. It's been so much fun to me, and it's driven a passion inside of me to put two different hobbies together and learn a different whole world of art. That's what I kind of wanted to include the card.
I
And
love all the
back
swirls of
I'm like
color.
back behind, I tried to add like essence of Florida, being at the beach and like the
Mm.
tropical plants and everything, and the all the colors of Lorcana kind of coming through, popping and weaving, and of course you got to add those sparkles. I'm a sparkle fan. But me and my painting overalls, I used to wear overalls all the time when I would do my huge canvas painting, because that pocket that you would hold the little paintbrushes and be like, okay, I got to go do this and then pick it up again. And just having all those colors kind of blend together and mesh. I know I chose amethyst because I love that whole bounce package. That's what I first was introduced to. And it kind of lit that drive within me to want to play this game. And I'm like, this is kind of fun and it's silly. And I would definitely be a purple card, but again, like I want to try all the different things and having fun, just adding color to life. I try to be the color in everyone's life to make it more vibrant, to help people bring themselves to the best potential that they can be. I do enjoy teaching others how to paint as well, sharing my gift. I probably would have never dreamt of doing this and having my art reach as many people as it has today, and hopefully further on will reach more and more people.
Well, that is absolutely beautiful, and I love your
Yeah.
card that you created. Well, Bonnie, thank you so much for being a part of the Ladies of Lorcana project. Where can people follow your work, and how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so right now, I am on X under Bonnie B Design. I have recently created the Instagram and Facebook, and I believe I'm going to do Blue Sky as well. And if you are to ever reach out to me in a private message, sometimes you might get my husband. He did start me off with everything of the logistical side. So sometimes he catches those messages before me and kind of gets the ball rolling. But if ever you want a commission done, feel free to reach out.
Well, that's where you can find her. And again, thank you for being part of the Ladies of Lorcana project, where we
Yes, thank
celebrate
you.
strength, community, and the women shaping the future of TCGs. Until next time, keep embracing your power, lifting each other up, and making this a magical game for everyone. If you enjoyed today's show, please like, subscribe, and follow Lady Lore 20 on YouTube, Instagram, or Blue Sky. The Ladies of Lorcana project can be found on YouTube with video or as an audio-only podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Until next time. Be sure to join us for the next episode of the Ladies of Lorcana project for an interview with Whitney Paulette, concept artist for the Disney Lorcana trading card game.